What if the thing haunting you wasn't just a ghost, but a contract signed in blood, sealed in silence? When a young woman named Van moves into a new home with her mother and stepfather, strange whispers begin in the night. Shadows crawl beneath locked doors. A child's laughter echoes through the halls, and something watches from behind the jar in the altar room. As the past unravels, secrets long buried claw their way back to the surface, and a tragic pact with an unborn spirit begins to destroy everything in its path. From chilling folklore to brutal truth, the infant spirit is not just a ghost story. It's a descent into possession, trauma, and spiritual horror like you've never experienced.
Chapter 1: The Blood-Colored Egg. Cursecraft, an ancient spiritual practice, has existed since the dawn of time. Back then, people who mastered these dark rituals were called sorcerers, spirit masters. They were the ones who devoted their lives to summoning things beyond the human realm, things shadowy, forbidden. As the world became more modern, strangely enough, people's curiosity about the unseen only grew stronger. The spiritual, the unexplainable, those are the things science still can't define. And so, the tales of dark enchantments, of spirit parasites and hex-bound souls, began spreading quietly once more. Some even staked their lives on it, swearing to the heavens it is real. Do you believe in ghosts? I didn't, not until I met Van. That day, something changed in me. Her eyes, empty, lifeless, seemed to look right through you, down into your core. They weren't just hollow, they were heavy, cold, like she was carrying the weight of something not of this world. Looking into them made your skin crawl. Van was 24. She didn't know me. She didn't know my uncle either. That day was the first time the three of us met. My uncle, Uncle Nam, was a war veteran, discharged after the 1975 campaign. He had spent years stationed in the thick jungles of Vietnam. Somewhere along the way, he married a woman from a tribal village deep in the hills of Hoa Ben, a woman I now call Aunt Muon. They've lived together peacefully for decades. I often visited them, not just out of family duty, but because every visit was a door into another world, a world of jungle myths, cursed rivers, tales of shadow walkers, and rituals whispered deep in the forest by ancient practitioners of the craft. To this day, I don't know exactly what my aunt and uncle do, but twice a month, they take someone up north, back to Aunt Muon's village in Hoa Ben. Just one person each time, even though more than a dozen often ask for help. I once asked Uncle Nam, "Why do you and Aunt Muon take just one person every time? I see so many people coming here for appointments." He was sitting cross-legged on the wooden platform. His favorite limb would bench, puffing on his old bamboo pipe. After a slow exhale of tobacco smoke and a sip of tea, he answered, "You probably won't believe me, but I take them up there to break curses. Sometimes to make them. There's an old spirit master there, nearly 90. Before he could finish, Aunt Muon came out and cleared her throat sharply. Shh, shh. Uncle Nam went dead silent. Just one glance from her, and he clammed up. She walked back inside, and he leaned in to whisper. That old man, He breeds spirit parasites. That single sentence sent a cold shiver down my spine. I flinched. Come on, Uncle. You're teasing me again. You're probably just buying some rare forest herbs. He smiled without saying a word, preparing another round of tobacco. But here's the thing. Lots of people came to their house, yet only a few ever made the trip with them. Aunt Muon would only help someone after looking them in the eye. If she sent something, off they proceed. Oh, right. I haven't told you yet. Uncle's name is Nam, one of those traditional Vietnamese names from back in the day. His brothers were named Ba. Bay, and the youngest, born post-war, was lucky enough to be called Thai. In our village, just ask around for the couple Muon Nam, and everyone knows who you mean. Van came to see them, just like the others. She didn't come alone. With her was an older woman, elegant, clearly wealthy, dressed in designer clothes and wearing enough gold to make a statement. The moment they stepped inside, Aunt Muon said firmly, "Ma'am, please wait outside. Leave the young lady here." The older woman gave Van a light nudge, muttering, "Go on, dear. Maybe they can help." Even at first glance, Van was different. She had a graceful face, long black hair falling just past her shoulders. But it was the way the air shifted when she entered the room that really hit me. The temperature seemed to drop slightly, not cold enough to freeze, but just enough to make my skin crawl. I turned toward Uncle Nam. The usual smirk on his face was gone. Instead, he sat in silence, unnaturally serious. Then he said, "Don't move. Stay right where you are." Van obeyed without a word. Aunt Muon stepped back into the room, now dressed in traditional tribal garb. In her hand was a small red pouch. From it, she took a bracelet made of jet black beads strung on mulberry wood. "Put this on," she told Van. "It will shield you for the next hour. It won't be able to hear anything you say." Van nodded and silently slipped the bracelet on. She walked to the small wooden chair and sat down. Now that I was closer, I could see her face more clearly, emotionless, completely withdrawn. And yet, not a single word had left her lips since she stepped in. Aunt Muon lit incense at the family altar, bowed 3 times, then carefully brought down a black stone statue with a small incense bowl fused into its base. She placed it on the center of the table. "Light a cigarette," she told Uncle Nam, "and stick it in here." Then she took out a single chicken egg from a lacquered box and placed it beside the statue. "Tell me your full name and birth date," she said to Van. Once she finished speaking, Aunt Muon continued, "Give me your left arm." Van slowly rolled up her sleeve. Curious, I tried to lean in to see better, but Aunt Muon snapped, "Sit still, T. Even if you try to leave now, you won't be able to. Just watch. Don't speak." Her tone sent a jolt through me. The air in the room thickened. I could now see faint, overlapping scars all across Van's wrist. Some fresh, some faded. She had clearly been hurting herself. Aunt Muon peeled the egg and gently rolled it across Van's forearm. Then she returned it to the box and sealed it. "How long has it been with you?" she asked. Van finally spoke. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. 2 years. "Do you know who gave it to you?" Her expression shifted just slightly. She lowered her head. "Yes, but that person's already dead, right?" Aunt Muon interrupted. And you were the one who killed them. Van froze. Sweat formed on her brow. Her lips trembled. No, I didn't kill anyone. Her voice was cracking, shaking. She hung her head, letting her hair fall like a curtain over her face. Uncle Nom opened the box, took out the egg, and cracked it open. What came out made my stomach twist. The yolk was blood red, not yellow, not orange, bright crimson red, like fresh blood. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, but it was real. The incense smoke curled in the air. Van sat motionless in her white blouse, hair cascading down, concealing her face. The red egg lay broken open on the wooden table. Aunt Muon's gaze pierced right through her, as if weighing her very soul. Everyone was silent. Then suddenly, I felt a cold breath on the back of my neck. I gasped, and so did Van. Our breathing matched, panicked, shallow. It felt like her fear had entered me. Then Aunt Muon reached forward and seized Van's wrist. Steady yourself. If you want my help, you need to tell me everything. The truth. She then looked straight at me. That single look, it felt like something had been broken, like a weight had lifted off my chest. Turning back to Van, she said, "This red yolk, it tells me the entity has been with you longer than 2 years, at least 3. You're carrying what we call an infant spirit parasite. I can't exorcise it, but I know someone who might. But first, you need to tell me everything. How did you come into contact with the spirit? How did it latch on to you? You've tried to end your life, but it won't let you. That means it's not done with you yet." Van finally broke. She sobbed. "Please, I've suffered so much. I've tried to die so many times, but I always wake up. For 2 years, I've been living like I'm already dead. Please save me. I'll do anything." She wiped her tears, and then she began to tell the story. The nightmare that began 3 years ago. The story that destroyed her life.
Chapter 2. The Stepfather.
Van sat with her hands clasped tightly together, eyes cast down, unable to meet our gaze. Her voice trembled as she began to speak. She was born and raised in Tai Ben. Her father passed away in a tragic road accident while hauling goods back from the Mong Tsai border. The crash was brutal. Though bystanders rushed him to the hospital, he passed away 2 days later. Van remembered that just before he died, her father struggled to hand a silver necklace with a green gemstone to a man by his bedside. Uncle Tone, his closest friend and business partner. As he pointed weakly at Van and her mother, everyone present understood. He was entrusting his family to this man. And then he closed his eyes forever. Uncle Tone was 2 years older than Van's father. His wife had passed away years earlier, jumped from the 3rd floor, and died on the spot. Police ruled it a suicide due to severe psychological trauma. He'd had no children. The couple had been married 3 years, but never conceived. Since her death, he had remained single. For years, he was a fixture in their lives, a trusted friend who came and went like family. After Van's father died, Uncle Tone began visiting more often. He looked after them, brought meals, handled bills, and protected them like they were his own. 3 years passed. Eventually, Van and her mother accepted him, not just as a family friend, but as her stepfather and her mother's new partner. The family business at the border flourished under his leadership. There was no wedding, no ceremony, just a rainy day when Uncle Tone moved in. Van still remembered that day clearly. It was pouring heavily. She asked her mom, "Why does Uncle want to move in today of all days?" Her mother replied gently, "His old home carries too much sorrow. His wife passed away there. He says living with us might help him let go of the past." Van had felt a wave of sympathy for him. Despite the rain, she and her mom grabbed umbrellas and went out to help carry his things. Her mother wheeled the suitcase. Van reached for a white ceramic jar wrapped with a red cloth. Just as she touched it, Uncle Tone jerked her arm back hard. That's my wife's ashes," he said. "It's slippery out here. I'll carry it myself. Thank you, dear." His grip was a bit too strong. It hurt, but Van said nothing, quietly stepping back. Just as she turned to walk away, she heard it, a soft laugh, close, childlike. The eerie giggle whispered right beside her ear. Van spun around, just in time for thunder to crack across the sky, shaking the ground beneath her feet. Startled, she slipped and hit the ground hard. Uncle Tone rushed over. "Careful, sweetie. I told you it's slippery out here. Move slowly, okay?" The fall and the thunder rattled her enough to push the laugh from her mind. Maybe it was her imagination. The storm, the wind, the sounds bouncing through the walls. It all played tricks on you. The rain intensified. The wind howled. Her umbrella flipped inside out. Drenched, Van ran into the house. Her thin blouse clung to her body, soaked through. Uncle Tone followed, closely behind. Her mother met them at the door with towels. Van smiled, taking a towel from her mother and drying her hair. "That rain was wild, wasn't it?" she laughed. "Good thing I didn't carry that jar. I might have dropped it." She turned to look at Uncle Tone, only to catch his eyes locked on her. His gaze wasn't one of care or concern. He was staring, fixated, his eyes glued to her soaked clothes, the outline of her body made painfully visible beneath the fabric. Her bra, clinging against the thin shirt, was no longer hidden. Van flushed red, hurriedly pulled the towel to cover her chest, and turned away. Uncle Tone looked embarrassed, still holding the white ceramic jar with its red cloth. He cleared his throat and said, "Crazy weather these days, huh? Oh, sweetheart, did you prepare that small room I mentioned earlier?" Her mother, who had just stacked some boxes in the corner, replied, "Yes, I cleaned it this morning. It's the one on the second floor, your old storage room, the one next to our bedroom." Van was confused. Why would he want to use that old, dusty room? Her mother noticed the look and explained, "He wants to set up an altar there. That's where he'll keep the ashes of his late wife. Lone. It's better than mixing it with our family altar, don't you think?" Van's heart twinged. That storage room held many memories. As a child, she used to hide in there during games with her father. She remembered the sound of her father's footsteps as he searched for her, how she'd giggle inside the old wardrobe or hide under blankets. Whenever she got in trouble with her mother, she'd run to that room, knowing it was her safe zone. She remembered the exact moment her dad would open the door and say, "Okay, now that I found you, your mom has to promise not to spank you, right?" Her mom would nod frantically. Then, moments later, her dad would pull her out from behind boxes and hand her back to Mom, who'd now lost all but to scold her. Just thinking about that room made Van tear up. And now, that same room was being turned into a shrine for someone else's ashes. The first thing Uncle Tone did when he entered the house was carry incense burners, candles, and altar pieces upstairs. He asked Van and her mother to help carry everything, except the ceramic jar. That he never let go of, not even once. His devotion touched them deeply. It was rare to see someone so loyal to a deceased spouse. Once everything else was arranged, Uncle Tone said, "I'll take care of the rest up here. You two handle the other things. Once the rain lets up, we'll go out for dinner, just the three of us." Her mother nodded and took Van downstairs to finish unpacking. An hour passed. "Go check if he's ready," her mom said. "Then we'll head out." Van climbed the stairs to the second floor. The hallway was dark and still. The small room's door was slightly ajar. No light came from within, only the flickering glow of candlelight. Curious, Van peeked through the crack. Inside, the altar was fully arranged. In the center sat the white ceramic jar. She watched silently as Uncle Tone stood in front of it. Then he unwrapped a long needle hidden inside a red cloth. With precision, he pricked his finger. 3 drops of blood fell into the jar. Van's spine went ice cold. She felt something touch her shoulder.
Shh.
A hand, cold and invisible. And then that giggle again. Close, whispering. Her skin erupted in goosebumps. A flash of lightning lit up the entire room. Then darkness returned, leaving only the soft flicker of candles.
"What are you doing there?"
The voice startled her so badly she stumbled backward. It was her mother. She had come upstairs when no one returned, then exhaled shakily, pressing her hand against her chest. Her limbs trembled. Then the small room's door slowly opened. Uncle Tone stepped out, smiling warmly. All done. That took longer than expected. So many little things to arrange. The rain stopped. "Shall we go eat? What do you want, sweetheart? You choose." Van stood frozen in place, still rattled. Her mother and Uncle Tone walked down the stairs ahead of her. She saw him glance back. His expression lingered, just for a moment. Something about his look felt off. But no, it must have been her imagination. He smiled kindly. "Come on, dear. I'm starving. Hurry." Van smiled faintly and ran to catch up, grabbing her mother's hand. The 3 of them descended the stairs, unaware of one thing. The door to the small room had never been closed. Creak, creak. It slowly shut itself behind them, quietly, as if something was still inside.